fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The air tasted of pine and something older, something hungry, a primal scent that stirred a deep, ancient part of me. I pressed closer to Ryder, needing the solid warmth of his body against the chill that seeped from the whisperwood like a living entity. The trees seemed to loom over us, their branches tangling together above our heads like skeletal fingers, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Kael moved like a phantom beside us, his magic a visible shimmer that danced across his skin, raising the hairs on my arms and sending a shiver down my spine. He didn't need to touch me to set my blood singing, to awaken a longing that had been simmering just below the surface. We were hunting the sunstone, but I suspected it wasn't the relic that had drawn them here. It was me and the secrets I held within. Ryder's hand found the small of my back, a firm, grounding pressure that seemed to anchor me to the earth. His gaze, dark and assessing, met mine, and I felt a flutter in my chest as he searched for something in my eyes. Kael's followed, a slow burn that traced the line of my jaw, his eyes lingering on the pulse point in my neck. I could feel his gaze like a touch, a gentle caress that sent a shiver down my spine. Sunlight fractured through the canopy, illuminating the statue, a monolith of ancient power that seemed to hum with an energy all its own. The sunstone pulsed, a rhythmic throb that resonated deep within me, mirroring the ache blossoming between my legs. It was as if the relic was calling to me, drawing me in with a siren's song. A whisper slithered through the air, promising power, promising pleasure, promising ruin. It was a seductive melody, one that seemed to speak directly to my soul. Then the energy hit, a blast of power that seemed to rock me to my core. Ryder's growl vibrated through my bones, a possessive claim that seemed to stake his territory. Kael's magic flared, searing my skin with a delicious heat that left me breathless. "Gentlemen," I breathed, my voice trembling, "I think we've awakened something, and it wants more than just our lives." Shadows twisted, alive with a hunger that wasn't solely the relic's. It was in their eyes, in the way they watched me, in the tightening of their hands. It was a hunger that mirrored my own, a craving that seemed to grow with every passing moment. I could feel it building, a tidal wave of desire that threatened to consume us all. Ryder's eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire, a passion that seemed to simmer just below the surface. Kael's gaze was no less intense, his eyes gleaming with a fierce, otherworldly light. I was caught between them, torn between the desire to surrender and the need to resist. But as I looked into their eyes, I knew that I was already lost, that I had been drawn into a world from which there was no escape. The sunstone pulsed on, its rhythm growing stronger, more insistent. I could feel its power calling to me, drawing me in with a force that was both exhilarating and terrifying. And then, without warning, everything went white. The world around me dissolved into a sea of light, a blinding radiance that seemed to sear my very soul. I was aware of Ryder's hand on my back, of Kael's magic swirling around me, but everything else was lost in the glare. It was as if I had been transported to a different realm, one where the laws of reality no longer applied. The sunstone's power was a living thing, a force that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. I could feel it coursing through my veins, a river of fire that seemed to burn away all my doubts and fears. And when the light finally faded, I was left standing in a world that was both familiar and yet utterly changed. The trees seemed taller, the shadows deeper, and the air was alive with a magic that seemed to vibrate through every molecule. Ryder's hand was still on my back, his eyes burning with a fierce, possessive light. Kael's magic swirled around me, a shimmering aura that seemed to pulse with a power that was both wild and untamed. And I knew in that moment that I was theirs, that I had been claimed by a force that was beyond my control. The sunstone's power still pulsed within me, a rhythmic throb that seemed to echo the beat of my heart. I was no longer alone, no longer adrift in a world that seemed determined to destroy me. I was part of something greater, something that seemed to transcend the boundaries of reality itself. And as I looked into their eyes, I knew that I would never be the same again, that I had been forever changed by the power of the sunstone.